Hi, I'm Suneera Madhani, and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to $1 billion business. Yes, $1 billion business. Along the way, I learned that less than 2% of female founders ever hit 1 million in revenue, and I became obsessed on a mission to change that. I believe that there is so much gatekeeping in business knowledge, and that we as female entrepreneurs should be learning from other female founders and leaders who have broken the statistics. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. Welcome to CEO School. Cheers to Wind Down Wednesday today. I'm your host, Suneera Madhani at CEO School, and I'm in the studio right now preparing for what am I teaching next in the next topic. Wine is flowing. It's the evening. It's Friday night is when we're recording. And you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I am not going to teach anything. I know. It's not the norm. It's not what you're here for, but let's give it a shot. I kind of just want to catch up today, fill you in on what's been going on in my CEO head, what's happening in life, the hurricane that just passed. I finished filming today of a docuseries. I have like a big, cool announcement from the CEO of like LinkedIn and HubSpot. So I want to give you guys updates on that. And then maybe, I don't know, just talk about mom life, House of Dragon I'm watching right now. So we've got 15, 20 minutes and I want to give you an update. So where do we begin? So first I wrote down hurricane. That was crazy. I've survived. I've been through, I don't know, over 20-ish storm hurricanes in my Floridian life thus far. And every time it happens, you feel like, okay, it's just another one. We know how to prepare ourselves. And this time when Ian came, I thought it was going to be, a category 3, which we've been through. But this one it was definitely really hard. And kind of even just the concept of entrepreneurship, it comes back to, I told you I wasn't going to teach, but here it goes. I do think that, you can't control everything, right? And that's the hardest part about entrepreneurship and life in and of itself is we can only control what we can control. So we can be as prepared as we want to be, but when shit happens, it does. Sometimes you get punched in the face. And honestly, since 2020, I feel like it's been a series of getting punched in the face for all my entrepreneur friends out there. You talk about the pandemic, then you have every fucking version of the pandemic, and then you think you're over it, and then there's Omicron and Delta and every variant, and life is, air quotes, back to normal, and then no one wants to come back to the office anymore, which is kind of cool sometimes because you're like, oh yeah, I kind of want to work from home too, but then you don't see there's like lack of productivity across your teams. Then you're getting everybody back from like a hybrid working environment. Then you have great resignation that takes place, another punch in the face. And then you have things like that you're like finally feeling back at rhythm, and it's just different. Like life is just really, it's I guess the word I'm going to use is exciting in its own way, and you've got to really roll with the punches. And again, going back to like hurricane preparedness, right? Like we've been through it before, but as a business owner, you're like, great, it's end of quarter. It was end of month, right? And it literally was the last 3 days of the month that I had to shut down the office again. And of course, like you have that thought from a business, but then, I'm a good leader, think about my team always. And so it's important to, make sure everyone's prepared and ready for it. But I did not think that the aftermath was going to be as bad as it was in Orlando, especially. But we got hit pretty hard. We're safe and well. So our family and our home and we're so lucky. But we had so many of our team members and friends and family that their homes were flooded. And it was just a really hard last 2 weeks, just Orlando just settling back to normal again. And just supporting our teams however best we could. My neighborhood was a complete shit show as well. Like we literally I live right north of downtown, and there's a lot of like cobblestone streets and just old pavement and pathways, and there's a ton of lakes, and the lakes pretty much just took over everyone's, like whoever was near any body of water. I mean, flooding in their homes, but then like the pavement like in front of all our neighborhood was gone, and it was just really disruptive and hard. And my mom actually accidentally drove her car into the lake after the hurricane. So after it happened. So not during the hurricane. It was like Friday, everything's all settled. And pretty much the lake is like in our street. But where we're at the highest elevation point of our neighborhood. And so we were so lucky that literally nothing happened besides just like fences and leaves and trees blown out, but no flooding in our homes itself. And my mom she left on Friday and was driving home, and then decided that she saw it was late and she couldn't see, and there were cones. So to whoever's defense, like they did put cones saying that like the water, there's a lot of water here. She decided to drive through it and then drove through it, and her car was stuck. And so her car got stuck, and she's literally calling my husband, who is her favorite person in the entire world. And our family's like, 911 call, I guess, because why call 911 when you can call Faisal Madhani? So I'm sitting in bed. It's Friday now. And I'm looking at Faisal's like Apple Watch is like charging. Carlos is laughing here right now. So Faisal's Apple Watch is buzzing nonstop. Like it's just like going off, and I see Shama, like my mom's like Shama. I'm like, why is mom calling? And she calls him all the time for like the most like random shit all the time too. And she does live across the street, so she's right there. So the phone's ringing, or his Apple Watch is like buzzing. So I like lean over and I pick up the phone, and I feel so bad. I was like, what's up? And she's like, I'm stuck. So I can hear it on the watch. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I run outside to grab the phone. And she's like, I'm stuck. The water's coming in. I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm in front of the house. So she's literally stuck. And mind you, she drives a Lincoln Aviator. So she's not driving like a small car. But the water's like flooding her car. And I'm like, call 911. And like Faisal's on his way. And so we were like literally and she's literally in front of the house. And her car's stuck. We had to get it towed. We got her out. But poor woman, she was like so shook and shaken. She doesn't know how to swim. And then for like the last like week, she's had nightmares of like crocodiles and feeling like there was going to be like alligators that were going to come get her. But Mama Shama is A-okay. Her car, not so much. And then we also realized that as a family, we need to have like a series of emergency, like what to do in an emergency conversation. So I definitely need one of those like break glass things that you never think you need. We've all got to have one of those things in the car, or like safety things in the car. But I think as a family, like we should all be having like what to do in case of an emergency, because obviously my mother didn't call anybody else besides like Faisal 9 times. Like call 911 first thing you do. And then if no one's answering, like maybe try calling like the other people on your favorites list besides Faisal. So if anybody needs any emergency support, I can leave Faisal's phone number in the show notes, and he will find a solution to serve you and get you out of your emergency. But hurricane was there. We've all survived. Orlando's air quotes back to normal again. And it's amazing, honestly, how the city picks up stuff so fast. Like Thursday, it was like Wednesday, the hurricane came through Thursday. And by Saturday, I feel like most of the major, trees that had fallen were gone. Most of like the lakes were pumped out. So it's amazing to see when people like get into action to figure it out of how the whole system works. But it was pretty quick. So we're back, and then we were back in office, but definitely we're out of office again for 3 to 4 days, which when you think about it from a business standpoint, because this is a business podcast at the end of the day. So when you think about it from a business standpoint, at the larger you scale, like every single day matters, right? So the way that I view, that's why like I always speak in quarters, is because quarters are so important for me. And I even know it as in terms of like selling days, right? So I've got 90 days in the quarter. I have X amount of selling days per month. I've got to maximize every single selling day that I have. So it is, it's always a distraction, but what can you do, right? And it's not like your investors and your, when you take money from investors, like one thing I will say is I could say, "Oh, great, it's for my pocket, so I can, live with less revenue." I still got a plan to hit, right? That's like it's my board plan. Like I still have to hit the plan. So it doesn't matter if there is a pandemic or a fucking hurricane or something else that comes through. We've still got to do what we have to do. And so we figure it out and we execute. So we're just recalibrating some of our end of year plans. And that's why it's so important for those that are thinking about investors or thinking about investment. Like it's not up to you anymore. You have a partnership. So it's not like your investors aren't your partners, and they're also going through similar things. So they're understanding. But at the end of the day, as CEO, the buck stops at you when it comes to all of it, and including your team, like everything else that comes in the aftermath or the pre-math, right? Safety and thinking about team members and evacuation and all the other things that take place during any sort of emergency. So here was another one with the hurricane. I've lived through it with the pandemic over the last 3 years now. I would say that nothing seems to surprise me anymore as an entrepreneur. And over this last, I would say since 2020, it's been the hardest it's ever been to be an entrepreneur, because I was an entrepreneur prior to 2020 as well, and scaling a company and fundraising and building like our business was probably, 25 million in recurring revenue at that time. Like now it's 125, so at a different scale, but still significant amount of business, like 100 team members probably I had when pandemic hit. But the level of pressure now in this ever-changing environment of it's constantly changing, it's different. It's been a lot harder in this post-pandemic world, I want to say, and empathize with. So if any of you ladies have, or men, if you're a man and you listen to this show, can you DM me? Because I just want to know. I feel like I don't know. I don't think that you're here, but some of you surprise me. But if you are, do let me know. We are welcoming of everyone, I will say. So, but to my ladies, if you have, whatever questions you do have on what it's like post pandemic, or if you're struggling with what to do with just in this environment, or any surprise that comes your way, I'm here for that surprise. I've been through it. I feel like I've been through almost every style of surprise in 10 years of entrepreneurship. And I think the exciting part is nothing surprises me anymore. And it's not that it gets easier, you just get better. I think that that's what happens in entrepreneurship. But we weren't supposed to be teaching today. We were supposed to be talking about House of Dragons and an update. So hurricane happened. Check. I'm checking that off my list. Number 2, the docu-series. I am so excited. I'm going to my first premiere in LA. I've never been to a TV or show premiere, and I'm a star. It's gonna be so cool. I'm so excited. I have super been downplaying it, as I do almost everything in my life, and I downplay everything in my life because everything that I touch becomes very successful, which is I'm really proud of, but also it causes a lot of attention, right? And it makes me look distracted and unfocused, and I'm trying to show that I'm focused, because I am focused on all the right things. I mean, it's Friday afternoon and I'm here right now, post everything. But the docu-series I'm so excited for. We had I'm sure you've heard of this company, LinkedIn and HubSpot. And HubSpot is a sponsor of our podcast, but that's not how this whole thing happened anyway. But just by coincidence, I'm a huge HubSpot fan. Obviously, I use LinkedIn, huge fan of LinkedIn. But they had reached out and they're creating a docu-series called Spiraling Up, which are these short story episodes, docu-series, right? A series of episodes on entrepreneurs. And it's about the journey and they call it scaling up or spiraling up, because that is what it's like to scale to the top, or it's like a spiral. It's not linear. And so they are sharing, they kind of followed me around for what felt like a month of my life, but it was about 3 days, and filmed various parts of pretty much showcasing my journey and showcasing my story. And I'm the final episode of the series and the unicorn of the series. So they kind of show entrepreneurs at all these different stages and journeys. And the docuseries is going to air in a couple of weeks. I wish I knew the exact date, which I will have to look up, because this is how crazy busy sometimes I am that I don't even know the dates of important things that should be important. I just don't even know, because there's so many things happening. So it's gonna air in November, I believe. I'm gonna head to LA for the premiere of it. I'm taking the girls. We're gonna watch it on the big screen. I have no idea what I'm gonna wear to the premiere. I feel like it have to be like cocktail red carpet. It's not like the Emmys or anything, but I will be meeting the CEO of LinkedIn. I'm going to be meeting the CEO of HubSpot, or the co-CEOs of HubSpot. And I'm a huge fan of Dharmesh Shah, one of the co-founders of HubSpot. He's awesome. He's like this amazing entrepreneur, and he's Indian, and I'm just like obsessed with all the things that they've built at HubSpot. So I'm really, really excited to meet them and to see this episode that is going to be about my life and what it was like behind the scenes filming it. It was cool. It was like they had like a camera crew that they said it wasn't going to be distracting and it's going to be like really natural. It was definitely not. There's like a film crew just like following you around. Definitely felt like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and like my family was like on a reality TV show. And I don't even know what pieces are going to make the episode or what's not, but they pretty much just followed me around from like the moment I woke up to I went to bed 3 days later. And so that included stacks, and I was definitely on CEO school workshops at some point. So maybe some of you might be, semi-featured on the episode. We were in, we were in the office. It just time with the family. We had a last day namaste where like my mom was cooking for the office. So they got like a bunch of stuff. So it was a full 3 days of my life. And so I'm really excited to see it, and I can't wait to share it with all of you. It's a really big deal. And I honestly don't even know what's going to come of it. Like half the times I don't say yes to everything, but sometimes when I do say yes, it's not for a goal. Like I'm pretty strategic about certain things, but sometimes it's just because I have a good gut feeling and I just love the brands that and what they were trying to showcase in the story. So I said yes, and this is the first time I've said yes to any sort of like TV style opportunity, and I've received a few of them in the past, but I'm excited to see what this one, like what happens with it, or if there's like, I don't know if it's going to be on a network or not, but it's definitely going to be premiered and you'll see it, and it's going to be all over the LinkedIn and HubSpot network. So I can't wait for you guys to have it, and hopefully you guys get, just as excited as I am. And this is the first time sharing about it. So it's here, it's happening. And so that was the filming happening as well. And then lastly, I've been really trying to kick up my health journey. And although you see a glass of wine here today, I am recording Wine Down Wednesdays, and it is Friday night. So it's only appropriate that I have my glass of wine recording this. It's not a Wednesday. I batch record these episodes. Shocker. I think actually one of our board members or investors was like, is Suneera spending time or whatever? Like, when is she doing this? And like, one, I stay focused, but two, like, I don't sit here and record like what shows up on social media and every single clip. It happens all together at one time. So we bash through episodes, but it is Friday night, and something that I've been working on is health and wellness, as I always am. And so maybe for another episode, if you guys enjoyed this like casual Wind Down Wednesday chat, I'll share kind of what's happening in my health routine, what are some of the things I'm working on. But I've been really, really great coming back post-Europe on working out. I've been doing F45. I've been doing 3-mile walks. Like I go for a walk almost daily, if not every other day, at least 2 miles a day, just in the evening to get more movement in and hit my step count. So I've just been trying to move more and trying to eat protein. That's like another thing that I'm trying to do, is like be more balanced about just health and wellness. And I'm not seeing any progress on the where I want to see it, but I think at this point I'm just trying to just stay healthy. I think the goal isn't, I don't have any, like, it's not the same anymore as it was in my my 20s. Now in my, I guess I'm in late 30s, mid 30s. What's 35, Carlos? Mid 30s. Okay, so there you go, mid 30s. But it's definitely harder, and working on that. So I feel like that's also happening. And lastly, the last catch up is I am totally watching House of Dragons. So if you guys want to leave me now and never listen to another episode again, that's totally cool. And I swear it's so good. Like, I was never a Game of Thrones. I'm not a TV person. You all know this about me. You've been following me for years. I do not watch television. I rarely watch TV. And when I was pregnant with Mila, Faisal was traveling a ton. He was always traveling back and forth to China at that time. And I had like whole weekends where I was solo and pregnant. So I wasn't doing anything that my friends were doing. And he was like, you have to watch this TV show. And I'm like, every time I watch you watch this TV show, all I see is a lot of boobs and a lot of gore, and not into any one of those things. So I'm into some boobs, but not that much boobs. So I'm like, I don't want to watch this. This sounds obnoxious. And I gave it a shot because every single person in my office was obsessed with Game of Thrones. And then on Monday morning, everybody would come to the office and just be talking about Game of Thrones. And I know you don't live under a rock. And if you're like, ugh, I'm not going to ever watch something like that, I was the same person too. Okay. So I feel you. I feel you so hard. I'm not into mystery or whatever the genre is called. Fantasy. I think it's called fantasy. I'm not into fantasy. Not at all what I was into. And I watched it and I caught up. I probably watched like 4 seasons, which is a lot to watch for Game of Thrones, especially the earlier episodes. But I caught up and I watched it, and I kid you not, I have become like, it was everything. And it's not about, you have to kind of avoid you don't have to avoid. If you like it, awesome, good for you, no judgment. If you like the sex and you like the gore, that's awesome. Not for me, but the storylines are truly so remarkable and addicting, and the characters are amazing, and it's an intense show. So it's not one of those TV shows that I can watch and it's like, oh, I turn off, like, you're watching like a, Beat Bobby Flay on Food TV Network, which I love Bobby Flay, right? So those are kind of like my 2 categories of TV right now, is Food TV Network or Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones was wonderful, and they just released House of Dragons. So every Sunday, Faisal and I, after we put the kids to bed, it's like the thing I look forward to all weekend is House of Dragon, and it's amazing. It's again gory again, but I close my eyes. I swear to God, just close your eyes. And you have to also close your ears because sometimes the scenes are there, but it's a really, really, really good, a really great show. So I'm obsessed with House of Dragons. If you're into Game of Thrones, let me know because I feel really weird sharing that, but why not? Happy Wind Down Wednesday. That's what's been happening in my world. The docuseries, the hurricane just passed, and I'm watching House of Dragons. If you enjoyed today's show, and if you did not enjoy today's show, that's cool too. Let me know so I don't do any more of these, because I do love to teach, but you got some teaching moments in it. But I do want to update you on all the great stuff that's happening. So cheers and happy Wednesday, and let me know what you think, and send me a DM in my DMs today. I'll see you next week at CEO School. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you loved it, leave us a review. We are so proud to bring you authentic conversations, game changer expert guests, and valuable content on and offline. The best compliment you can give us is by screenshotting today's show and tagging us on Instagram at CEO School and at Suneera Madhani. We are obsessed with swag, so don't be surprised if we want to send you some. Thanks for tuning into class today, and remember, nothing bad happens when women make more money.